Hello everyone, I am looking a little bit weird today because I have a full-on smoky eye with no face makeup on yet. So just bear with me until I put some on. The reason that I don't have any face makeup on is because we are going to be testing out a brand new foundation today. It is the Revlon Full Cover. It's the Colorstay line, but it's called the Full Cover Foundation. And we are also not only going to be testing this foundation out, but we are going to be seeing if Revlon tried to pull a fast one on us, and if this is just this repackaged. So this story goes back a ways. Basically, to give you a bit of background, the Revlon Colorstay Whipped foundation. Do you remember this? Do you remember when literally everyone on YouTube loved this foundation? People with dry skin loved it, people with oily skin loved it, everyone loved it, but the main complaint was that it's in this super heavy glass bulky packaging. That was literally the only complaint people had. They loved this foundation. I tried it. I loved this foundation so much that this is my holy grail foundation. This is the best foundation I've ever used, ever. It makes my skin look so good. Every single time I wore this foundation, I got compliments on how good my skin looked. I personally saw it too. It's one of those foundations where when you first put it on, I actually don't love it right when I put it on, but throughout the day, it just gets better and better and better, and you don't want to take it off at the end of the day because it looks so good. It's also such a good shade. It's almost like gray, kind of, but it works so well for some reason. The shade is just, I've never found another foundation that has quite this shade. I found other foundations that I like the shade of on myself, but this one is just the top. The only reason that I didn't wear this every single day of my entire life is because it breaks me out. So I had to reserve it for only special occasions. I basically always wore this if I was going to be in a wedding or at any sort of important event that I knew was going to be a full day event where I needed my foundation to just stay on forever, cover everything I needed it to, and make my skin look really good and really good in pictures. I just wore this for every major event that I ever had, and then just had breakouts the next day. But if it weren't for that, I would have worn this every day of my life. Now that I've been on Accutane and now off Accutane and my skin's doing better, maybe it doesn't break me out anymore. Recently, I went to repurchase this because I had run out of a tube or a bottle, and I realized that they were discontinuing it. And I went into panic mode because I was like, no. I need this foundation to be a part of my life. I don't think you understand how much I love this foundation. And if you are new to my channel, new to me, I have oily skin normally. Right now it's just normal because I just recently stopped Accutane, but on oily skin, it's just... So immediately I went on eBay and bought, well, first I searched around, I searched and searched for Walmart's, Walgreens, anywhere I could that might still carry it, and it was sold out everywhere. They're totally discontinuing this foundation, and I was heartbroken. So I went on eBay and I purchased this bottle, and I definitely did think okay, maybe this is one of those cases where they're just gonna repackage it and resell it and try to call it a new foundation. But I wasn't seeing anything new from Revlon, so I was I think they're just discontinuing it, which didn't make any sense to me because people loved this foundation. So I was like, why would you discontinue something that everyone loves? It doesn't make sense. But also they discontinue all my favorite products, so at the same time it didn't surprise me. Lo and behold, a couple weeks later, this guy arrived on the scene. So I've only seen a couple reviews of this product, but people are saying that it has a whipped texture. They're saying that it is medium to buildable coverage. It's the Colorstay line. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure they just repackaged this because that was the one complaint people had, was the packaging. But why sell it as a brand new foundation? I don't know. We're gonna get to the bottom of it right now. So one of the first things I want to do is a swatch comparison, since as I mentioned, the Revlon Colorstay Whipped, the color is part of what I loved so much about it. So I've swatched both the shades here. On this side is the original Revlon Colorstay in the shade 210 Sand Beige, and then on this side is the new full cover in the shade 210 Sand Beige. And I think they are the same shade. This one might be the tiniest bit more neutral and less peachy, but like, I'm pretty sure they're the exact same shade. So that's good news. We're off to a good start. Now the second thing that I want to do is look at the ingredients, because that is going to be the clear tell of if these truly are just the exact same formula. So I've got my computer here. I will be running this list on the screen, but I pulled up the ingredients, and basically the first several ingredients, which means that's what there's the most of in the product, are the exact same until you get to mica. In the new ingredient list, mica is way up there. And in the old ingredient list, mica is 4th to the bottom. So that's a huge difference. I don't know much about what that means as far as like what it'll do to the formula, but there is a difference there. And from the rest of the list down, the order slightly differs, but I can only find 7 ingredients that are actually different between the new formula and the old formula. So it looks like they definitely have reformulated, but for the most part, it's very similar. So what I think happened is that they took the old Revlon Whipped Colorstay formula, slightly altered it, slightly improved it. Maybe there are new ingredients that didn't exist before. Who knows why they did it, but it is not the exact same formula, but it's pretty darn close. Now let's get into the application. Like I said, I'm going to do half my face with the old formula, half my face with the new formula. And normally I would test things out for several days before I would ever get on here and talk to you guys about it. But I know this formula so well that I know I'm gonna know immediately if this feels different or acts different or wears different. We still are gonna do like a full day wear test, but I'm gonna know right away. So let's start with the old foundation. And I'm going to apply it the way I normally do. My face is moisturized with my normal moisturizer and then primed with the Smashbox Photo Finish priming water. So what I always do is I use my Morphe G6 brush because it fits perfectly in the little hole here. And I just dab a little bit in there. It's such a whipped texture. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see that, but I mean, it's not like running down, like it's very whipped. And then I just get like this amount on my brush to start with, and then I kind of keep dipping back in for more. And I always stipple it on my face. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a very strange foundation in the sense that like when I first apply it, I'm almost always like, why do I love this so much? Because I don't really like how it looks when I first apply it. It needs a minute to kind of warm up to your skin and settle into your skin, and then it just starts doing magical things on your face. Basically, as the day goes on, it like blurs your pores and your fine lines more, and it just makes you look like you have perfect angel skin, and it's quite natural looking but lasts forever. Sorry, I feel like I didn't realize I wasn't zoomed in that much, so we're gonna get nice and close here. This is one layer. It just makes your skin look good. Like, it blurs things. It is not full coverage because some of this still shows through, but I don't tend to like to build this one too much. I will a little bit here. It can start looking cakey if you use too much of this product, but it is a little bit buildable. So this is the old formulation on half my face. It's like a matte finish, but definitely a natural matte, not a chalky matte at all, and it just looks good. So let's try the new formula. I'm so curious. So since this one is in a squeezy tube, I can't do my little brush stipple thing. So I went ahead and squeezed some out on my hand here. And as you can hopefully see, it is totally that same whipped formula where it's not running down my hand at all. It's probably the same formula repackaged. So I'm going to dip my brush into it, get about the exact same amount of product, go back for more if I need more, and now we're just going to apply it to this side of my face. Okay, first thing that I'm noticing is that it feels drier, like not as oily. I mean, I don't want to say that the other one feels oily. The other formula kind of feels a little bit oily, for some reason, which I didn't mind because I loved the way it looked so much. But this one feels less oily. Like it's drying down way faster. That's my very first thoughts. I also feel like I need to pump out some more. Since the other one's in a jar, it's so hard to tell if I'm using the same amount or not. But we're just gonna do the best that we can here. So far, the actual coverage itself and the color and the finish all feel exactly. Sorry, my camera cut out, but I was saying they all feel exactly the same. Literally the only difference that I am noticing is just in how this one doesn't quite feel as oily and it seems to dry down faster. But it's still blending in really, really nicely. Another thing I like about the original formula is just how easily it just melts into the skin. Like you never have any weird splotchiness or patchiness ever. It just blends so easily. And this one is also blending flawlessly, even though it feels kind of drier, if that makes sense. And yes, I'm putting foundation on my forehead for you guys for this video. I never ever do that because it always makes me break out and I just don't feel like I need it up there usually, but for the sake of this video, we've gone ahead and done it. So here's my face. We'll get all nice and zoomed in so that you can see. This is the new formulation on this side. And then this is the old formulation on this side. They look the same to me. Honestly, if anything, I like this one more. It seems to have a more smooth finish, which this one eventually will have, I swear to you, in like an hour or two. This looks like how this looks, but the better thing obviously is that this looks like that right away. So far, I mean, they're the same. It's the same foundation. But coverage wise, you can still kind of see my spots coming through on both sides. It's a very, very natural finish, natural matte finish, I would say. I mean, I don't think I would be, I'm not sure why my camera cut off because it just keeps cutting off, but I just really want to show you how I don't think if you gave me both of these in the same container, I don't think I'd be able to tell a single difference. Like I said, am liking this side a little bit better, but I know how this wears and that eventually it's gonna look like this. So first impressions is it's the same foundation repackaged and slightly reformulated. Here's what's interesting about that, and here's what I want to talk about. This is gonna be a bit of a rant. So the reason this bothers me, first of all, is because instead of saying, hey, we took your feedback about how you didn't like this bulky packaging and we put it into nicer packaging for you, and we just slightly reformulated it, so like the new and improved Revlon Colorstay Whipped, they marketed it as if it is an entirely new product, and they discontinued this, and now everyone's out buying it because they're like, Revlon came out with a new foundation. But they didn't, and like, to me that just feels shady. Now here's the other interesting thing that I want to talk about. I basically just showed you on my face and through just experience and how well I know this foundation that this is the same foundation. 99% the same foundation. I mean, we'll see the wear time. Maybe this one doesn't wear as long or something, but as of right now, it's the same foundation. The funny thing is that everyone loved this foundation. People are not loving this one. And you wanna know why? It's because they called it the Colorstay Full Cover Foundation. So people are applying it, seeing a medium to full coverage and being like disappointed because it's called in the name Full Cover Foundation and it's not full cover. Now this one, they didn't call it Full Cover Foundation. They called it Colorstay Whipped Formula, and they marketed it as just being this like really interesting texture that's different than anything else. And so people loved it. It's the same foundation, but people aren't loving it purely because of how they chose to market it. So that's another reason that I think they should have just told people, hey, we took this and put it in better packaging and slightly reformulated it for you so that it looks good right away and also just applies a little bit nicer. Like it just feels, that slightly drier feel is really nice. But like if they had just marketed it as a new and improved this, I think it would be doing great. But people aren't really loving it because they're going in with expectations of this full coverage foundation, and that's not what it is. Okay, I did also just want to note that I keep saying it's not full cover, but it is pretty full coverage. I would say it sits right in the middle of medium and full coverage. But when you call it full coverage, people are expecting like Jouer, Huda Beauty, like those high intensity full coverage foundations, and that's not what it is, as you can hopefully see. So we're gonna wear this throughout the day. I will let you know how they hold up, but as of right now on my face, it's the same foundation, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me. I can't even tell you, because I thought this was gone from my life forever. I was really sad about it, and now I'm so happy because it's not gone. It's still here. It's just in a tube. And personally, I like that better because it's much easier to travel with rather than this big bulky glass jar. And it's just, you still get a full ounce, you still get the same amount of product. The shade is the same, the finish is the same, the way it applies is the same, hopefully the wear time is the same. I'm like, I just need to take a minute. I love this foundation so much, and I'm so happy that it still exists. So I will see you later with a check-in. I'll probably put on a little bit of other makeup, just some like blush and bronzer and stuff, and then I will check in throughout the day and see how everything's wearing. But oh my god, I'm so excited and also mad at the same time because I feel like it was shady of Revlon to do that, but I'm also like happy. It's a very bittersweet thing happening right now. So I did just want to show you, all I did was add some blush, no powder or anything like that, so that we can truly just see how the foundation itself wears, because normally I don't powder this foundation, especially when I was oily. It does a really good job at controlling oils. I actually wore this to like some clubs and stuff, and I mean I was dripping in sweat and oils, and girls would be like, how is your face not like melting off? It's not fair. And I was like, it's my foundation. It's this magical foundation. So anyway, I just wanted to show you in this lighting how everything is looking, just as my like first check-in, and we will reconvene here in a few hours. All right, it has been about 5 hours, 5.5 hours. I wanted to do a check-in while I still have some daylight out here, so that hopefully it shows up on camera. In the mirror, I am seeing how it looks even better than when I applied it. It looks smoother, it looks somehow more full coverage. I don't know how it works, but this foundation just looks better and better the longer that you wear it. I don't understand. As I told you earlier, I didn't powder and I'm staying really matte. That is also the case when I was super oily. It stayed matte for forever. So I'm gonna zoom in. Hopefully the camera shows how good it's looking and also how much it's looking the exact same on both sides. So this is the side with the new formula. And this is the side with the old formula. But anyway, one thing I really wanted to point out that I love about this foundation is that it is not even kind of settling into my smile lines. And if you've been following me for a while, or if you've watched any of my other foundation reviews, you know that every single foundation creases in my smile lines. And this one is not even, it's not doing it at all. And I have not like touched up, I have not blurred it out. I haven't touched my face the entire day. And I will zoom in. There is no creasing in my smile lines. There's no creasing in the lines on my forehead. It almost blurs them out completely. And it's doing that on both sides, which leads me to even further believe that we're working with basically the same foundation here. So let's look at those smile lines. See? Nothing. No gathering. No creasing. I mean, you can see that there's a line there because like my face has a line there, but usually foundation collects and gathers in those lines. And there is none. So this is the only foundation that doesn't gather in my smile lines, and so I think that's just even further proof that this is the same foundation. Let's try and go in some slightly different lighting so that you can see hopefully even better. All right, y'all, I'm in my bathroom. It's the end of the night. We're in some super harsh bathroom lighting, but I just wanted to do a final check-in to let you know that I still think this is the same foundation. Not to be too repetitive, but the only difference I noticed was just how when I was applying it, it looked better sooner and was a little bit less oily feeling. But yeah, overall, I mean, I've been sweating because I don't have my AC running, and I've been like running around and packing and things like that. So like my face is sweaty, it's greasy. This control your oils, first of all. I mean, it's the same foundation as the Colorstay Whipped. So if you've ever tried that, it's the same. But if you haven't, I'll just fill you in. It controls your oils, it lasts forever, it looks great in photos, it blurs your pores, it blurs fine lines, it doesn't settle into fine lines. They have really, really good colors that are like super neutral. It's matte, but it's not like too matte and flat. I didn't actually try to cover this just so everyone knows, but you could see like my darker scars. It did a pretty decent job covering. My scars are darker on this side than on this side, but overall, I mean, you can see when I zoom in here, like I'm actually sweating right now. And the foundation has held up completely. My blush is still on. The only place that I think it's rubbed off is right around my nose, and that is because I've been blowing my nose. We will do one last final close-up zoom in. Do you see? I don't know if you can see since I'm so sweaty right now, and the camera just doesn't seem to be picking it up, but hopefully you can see how somehow this foundation looks even better than when I put it on earlier, and I don't understand how. So overall, I'm thrilled. I am a happy camper right now because my favorite foundation of all time is actually not being discontinued. It just got repackaged and sold as something else. So like, I'm thrilled that it's still around and that I can still use it and find it and wear it and all of the good things. But I would love to hear from you guys. What do you think about the whole Revlon just marketing this as a brand new foundation? And like, as far as I've seen, they have not said anything about it just being like a reformulated version of the Colorstay Whipped. So like, what are your thoughts? I don't think I like it, but I also understand it because they need to sell products. Let me know if you've tried either of them, if you've tried both of them, if you agree that it's the same thing, if you're happy that this is still around. I don't know. Let me know down below. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, I just needed to pop back in here really quickly because I was about to wash this off, and I feel like I didn't do a good enough close-up for you. Look at my forehead and how smooth it looks. Look at how oily and shiny my nose is and how not oily this all is. It's just like a nice satin finish. And the other thing I forgot to mention about this foundation that I love so much is it's one of the most transfer resistant foundations ever. Like if you're holding your phone up to your face and talking on the phone, you get almost no transfer, which is amazing, and that's without powdering it. If you powder it, it's even more transfer proof, even more mattifying, even more just, look at how my blush is like still there after the whole day. Okay, now I'm gonna go. Okay, bye.